Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the newly released collector's edition Blu-ray of John Carpenter's They Live from Scream Factory. And I've just got to say, Scream Factory is blowing me away with their Blu-ray releases. Everybody needs to take a huge page out of Scream Factory's book on how they're treating and releasing these Blu-rays of classic movies. Halloween 2, Halloween 3, The Funhouse, Now They Live. Really, they've just blown me away, and They Live is absolutely no exception. It is the story, as we all know, of a drifter, loner kind of guy named John Nada, played by the rowdy one, Roddy Piper, who drifts into Los Angeles looking for work and happens to uncover an alien agenda to basically take over the world and keep the human race asleep. They live, we sleep, as is written, scrawled on a wall in the movie. But really, enough about the movie. We've all seen it. We all know it's a great flick. It's one of those just, you know, cult classic kind of movies. It just gets better with age. What we really want to talk about here is the Blu-ray itself. And as I said, with all the other Scream Factory releases, They Live, the picture and the sound quality, the anamorphic widescreen that John Carpenter uses in all of his films, it just looks beautiful. Even like the slummy back alley, you know, shanty town stuff that a lot of the movie shot in. It's kind of a drab, bleak kind of movie. In anamorphic widescreen, it looks absolutely beautiful in Blu-ray. It is a flawless transfer. The audio, again, off the charts. Great stuff. As far as special features, and I was very, very happy with the special features on this disc, we have a new interview with John Carpenter where he talks about, you know, the genesis of the movie. It was based on a short story, but how he wanted to you know, contemporize it to 1980s America, Reaganomics. It's basically a satire of 80s era economics, and you know how you know, the rich got richer, and basically the aliens, according to John Carpenter, are all Republicans, more or less, and the trickle-down effect of Reaganomics was basically. And Carpenter explains this in the interview, that, you know, just leave the rich alone, let them make all the money that they possibly can by hook or crook, and somehow it will all trickle down, and all of us less fortunate folks will prosper at some point too. Of course, that didn't really happen, but that's a whole other video. The interview is really cool. He talks a lot about the fight scene. It's only about a 10-minute interview, but you feel like you've heard a lot about the movie. He talks a lot about the fight scenes, or the fight scene, I should say, the famous fight scene between Roddy Piper and Keith David, and that phenomenal. How they he talks about it a little more in detail in the commentary track with Roddy Piper. They started rehearsing that fight like 2 months before they started shooting in John Carpenter's backyard. So, a lot of emphasis. The centerpiece of this movie is that street fight between Piper and Keith David, and it is just it's just a beautiful piece of cinema, really. We also get an interview with Keith David, another about a 10-minute interview where he talks a lot about the fight scene. He also talks in the beginning quite a bit about The Thing and his experience on that, and how he hadn't really worked since The Thing, and you know, he was just so happy that John Carpenter had called him up and asked him to be in They Live, and you know, his acting process. And of course, he talked a lot about the fight too. Really good interview with him. There's also an interview with Meg Foster, again about 10 minutes, talking about the film, talking about how she acted with Roddy Piper, and just how much fun that she had on the set with you know, working with John Carpenter, and the classic where she smashes the wine bottle against Roddy Piper's head and he flies through the window. How they had to do that many times because she would. It's candy glass, so it's not quite like real glass. It's movie glass, but it's still kind of hard. So she would swing back and hit Roddy Piper in the head with it, and it wouldn't break, so she had to do it over and over again. Yeah, that's pretty entertaining. There's also an interview with Jeff Amata, who was the stunt guy. He also played most of the ghouls, is what they called them, in the movie. Alan Howarth, of course, who did the music for the film, and the cinematographer, I think, I believe it was the director of photography that they spoke to too. His name escapes me right now. But pretty nice interview there, talking about the music for the film. Of course, the fight sequence, of course, was talked about quite a bit there too. But really, the cherry on top of this release is the audio commentary with John Carpenter and Roddy Piper. It's actually brought over from the old Laserdisc of They Live, and I just got to tell you, it is probably the best commentary, the most entertaining, the most fun, the most insightful and informative commentary I've ever sat through. If you buy this for nothing else, buy it for that commentary. Roddy Piper is just friggin' hilarious. He should commentate over every movie, in my opinion. A lot of great stories passed back and forth between those two. A really good story Roddy Piper was telling about, you know, he was in the WWE, or it was the WWF at the time, and Vince McMahon did not want him to do this movie out of fear that he would be his celebrity stature, he would get more over than Hulk Hogan, and nobody could get more over than Hulk Hogan, and even Hulk Hogan was worried about it because, you know, and of course Piper was always the bad guy, he was always the heel, but he was so good at it that people chanted his name. Instead of booing, they chanted his name, and at the time, you know, it was very black and white in wrestling, and you booed the bad guy, you cheered the good guy, and the good guy always prevailed. Well, fans were cheering for Roddy Piper, so Vince McMahon basically said, if you turn down this movie, within a month, I will find you another movie to star in at the exact same price. And Piper was like, well, it won't be with John Carpenter, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. So he went off, he made this movie. He had a great time doing it. The movie was #1 at the box office for 2 weeks in a row. When he came back to wrestling, he was far bigger than he ever was before. So that was a great little story from Roddy Piper. A lot of stories back and forth. Roddy Piper has a very good memory talking about this movie. So yeah, awesome commentary. Awesome commentary. There's also the original EPK for the movie. It's about 10 minutes long. Another cool thing about it was the guy who shot the EPK. He also shot like the commercials and stuff that are in the background of the movie. And you get sort of a reel of all those commercials. Some of them they're in the movie, some of them that didn't make it into the movie. So that was kind of cool to see too. You know, I just can't say enough great things about this release. I mean, the commentary, really, it's the best commentary I think I've ever sat through. So entertaining, so fun. I could have sat and listened to them talk for, you know, hours on end. It was just so fun and entertaining. So yeah, I shouldn't babble on about the thing anymore. Go out, buy it. The movie's a classic. Piper, coming from a wrestling background, great actor. He's the only wrestler who ever went on to make a major motion picture that was #1 at the box office. He is still the only one that can really make that boast, and he's a very good actor. So yeah, I mean, the movie, of course, great stuff, really fun, entertaining, cool movie that's deeper than just your typical sci-fi fare. I mean, as with all Carpenter movies, I mean, you get a little bit of everything. It's multi-genre. It's got a multi-genre feel to it. It's got an action movie feel. It's got a sci-fi movie feel. But he also spends time with, you know, the first half of the movie, or not the first half, but the first really act of the movie is more or less establishing characters. And that's an approach that's not explored very often these days. And I apologize, somebody just drove by my house on a four-wheeler. It doesn't have a muffler on it, so that's great. But anyway, I think that's telling me that I need to end this video. Enough said. They Live, Blu-ray Collector's Edition from Scream Factory. Go out, buy it. It is awesome. Period. Awesome. Go buy it. Obey. Remember, always obey. Marry and reproduce. Consume. And that's all you gotta do. Just and sleep. They live, we sleep. That's all you gotta remember. So anyway, until next time, you guys take it easy and peace. I forgot to mention with this release, as with all Scream Factory releases, we have this awesome cover, and on the inside sleeve you can reverse it to this awesome cover that we all know and love, the original poster art that of course was on the VHS and the DVD releases of this film. So yeah, wanted to throw that in there just for good measure. I would have felt remiss if I didn't add that little part. So alright, you guys take it easy. Peace.